We can not give points? That's an option?
I think I don't want to say I'm disappointed.
Well, Christmas might be over, but we're keeping our green theme going. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're doing a review of our first lager, Heineken. Alessandro, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, man. I am excited. Today we're changing pace a little bit. We've been, trying to Belgian, Abbey Ale, now Guinness, and now finally a lager. So I'm excited for today.
Three really different styles. I've never kind of approached a lager in this sense, breaking it down in this way, so it's going to be really cool. I'll be completely honest with you, I don't even know what I'm going to be rating this going into it. I thought about it a little bit. I have a lot of experience with Heineken. It's kind of one of my go-tos if I'm going to a party or if I'm having people over and I want something that's easy drinking and I want a lot of it to have around to offer people. Heineken's kind of one of my go-tos. So I have liked it for a long time, but I've never really broken it down critically, so this is going to be fun. You have any idea where you're going to be landing on this?
It's hard to tell. I was kind of like you said. I was thinking earlier, but honestly, I have never paid as much attention as we're going to pay tonight. Like breaking it down, thinking about each single part. So it's going to be a surprise, I think, and that's also part of the fun.
Same, exactly. So, just to clarify, before we begin, you'll see I have the bottles and the can out on the table here, just for prosperity's sake. But we are not going to be reviewing both the can and the bottle in this video. We're going to stick just to the can. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in a later video, can versus bottle. But for the sake of a review, being completely impartial, we're going to go with Heineken out of a can. So let's do it. Let's crack these open.
Can't wait.
All right.
Here we are.
So as usual, I'm going to pour out just about a third of the glass to give space for those aromas. Alessandro, the lovely Alessandro, is doing the same.
Here we are. Oh, look at that. That nice color there.
I know that color, right? It's kind of like, it's the prototypical lager in a lot of ways. Let's start. Okay, our first rating, the aroma. I'll let you start, sir. Please go right ahead.
Oh, wow. See, again, like this glass is changing completely the way, obviously it still smells like Heineken, but it's amplified. It's like having that volume knob and you turn everything up. So I do get almost like a honeyed malt. And I do get a very, very light, almost banana scent. It's subtle. It's not there immediately. You really have to wait a second, but it comes through. And I'd say, yeah, I mean, it's if I'm thinking lager and I'm thinking something refreshing just by the look of it, I would say this is a good beer. I wouldn't say it's exceptional, so I would say probably 2 points for the aroma.
You know, it's interesting, out of a glass like this, like you just mentioned, you smell so much more than you do out of just a regular pint glass. When you first started reviewing and talking about the aroma, my beer was freshly poured, I was taking some smells as you were talking. The smell is a lot stronger. It's kind of dissipated after it's been in the glass for about 30 seconds. And to be honest with you, there isn't too much of an aroma left anymore. The aromas that you do get, you mentioned honey. There is definitely a sweet aroma there. Like most lagers, you'll get a bit of a smoky smell out of it as well. It's very faint. And you know, you and I are the same in that sense. We really like the smokiness. So I actually really love lagers that have a little bit more of a smoky flavor and aroma to them. You know what? I'm gonna have to go good as well. I'm gonna have to give it 2 out of 3 points because anything, giving it a non-perfect score doesn't mean that it's not a great beer. Like I said, I've loved Heineken for a really long time. And it's a fantastic beer by every stretch of the imagination. But when it comes to an aroma, it doesn't really stand out like other types of beers do. Like we've talked about Guinness already. We've talked about ABT 12 that have very strong, distinct aromas and elements that you can pick out. There's not that much here, which is kind of standard for a light lager, but it is what it is. I can't give it a perfect score, so it's going to get a good.
And also, anyway, good is, as you said, is not bad. Like it's just a solid smell that you expect from a lager. And sometimes you just, want something simple that has that nice and clean smell.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to my favorite one, the taste.
Yes. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, my friend. I'll let you go first. Go right ahead. Give me your thoughts.
So, I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is you do get that initial sweetness. It's not too acidic. That crisp acidity appears a little bit in the middle of the palate. You do get that bitterness that builds up at the end. So I would say, it has these three main components, but they're very subtle and gentle. They're not in your face at all. And I think that's probably what makes this beer so incredibly popular and easy to drink, because it's subtle, it's gentle. Can give it a perfect rating with 3 points, but I would definitely give 2 points on the taste here, because it's exactly what you're expecting looking at it, and it's delivering that. So it's good. It's a solid beer. So 2 points for that.
You know what? I completely agree. I thought there was going to be something that we had different opinions on so far. I thought that maybe there was going to be somewhere that either you or I gave it a great, whereas the other one did a good. At this point, I agree with you 100%. I think it's good. I think the taste is very non-offensive. The taste is very subtle. The taste is very light. And that is why it is as popular as it is, I'm sure. If you want something cold, crisp, and easy to drink on a hot summer day, and somebody hands you an ice cold bottle or ice cold can of Heineken, there's nothing better, right? You know it's going to be easy to drink. You know it's not going to have an offensive, lingering finish on it. You know it's not going to be anything that's not going to pair well with something that you're eating. You know it's just going to be, it is what it is. You know what to expect. Easy, light, and satisfying. Can't give it great because we really appreciate those stronger, balanced flavors, and those are really what we reserve for great, but good. 2 points, absolutely.
This brings us to the third point, which is mouthfeel. Now, I'll take another sip just to make sure.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pour out a bit more just to freshen it up before talking about the mouthfeel. Let those bubbles fizz up. All right, tell me, what do you think? I'm curious about what you're going to say on this one. I'm really curious.
It's, I get like this silky, it's very silky, not creamy, like we discussed Guinness, but silky. It really leaves this almost like coating on your tongue. Very pleasant, that leaves that slight bitterness that is very refreshing. The carbonation is not overpowering. It's there, but just enough. I would describe the mouthfeel very similar to the taste. And I was kind of debating, like, should I give like 1 or 2 points? I'll still stick on the 2 points here for the mouthfeel, because I had completely forgotten how that finish, or that, let's say, the way it leaves your palate when you have it, while you have it in your mouth, and as right after it's gone, that silky smoothness that is there, which is very, very pleasant and very refreshing. But it's a solid, it's a good beer. So 2 points out of 3 for sure for the mouthfeel for me.
I completely agree in the sense that it has that silky smoothness to it on the mouthfeel. I was thinking I was going to give it a 1. It's so funny because you're saying the exact same things as to what I was thinking before starting this. Because I was like, Heineken is so light. It's so, there's not a lot of carbonation to it. So you don't get anything too strong in terms of a mouthfeel. You don't get heavy bubbles. You don't get heavy carbonation. It's not overly bitter. You're not going to get that sourness or that bitterness on your tongue. So what is it? And it's really about that silkiness. And you're so right. That silkiness is so unique to it. If I'm going to give it 1 point, I got to reserve 1 point for something that I don't like for one reason or another that I find unbalanced. This is so perfectly done and so perfectly balanced in terms of all the elements, mouthfeel in specific. It's got to get 2. It's gonna be a good, by all means.
Okay, so let's see the last element of the analysis before we get to the overall, which is the finish. Now again, I'm going to take another sip just to make sure. And I'd say that here, it's probably where I think I don't want to say I'm disappointed. I just want to say that there's not a lot there, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, like, the rating is a personal thing. And I sometimes appreciate having a finish that brings some different elements inside of the whole experience. Like when we reviewed Guinness, I found that interesting element that was calling you back to the beginning of when you were taking the first sip. Here, the finish is just very subtle. The mouthfeel is silky, as we described, but there's not like too much happening there in the finish. So again, not a bad thing, but I would say that out of 3 points here, I'm probably gonna give a 1, because there's not too much happening, which is not a bad thing, but again, not incredibly complex either. So I'm gonna stick with 1 there for the finish.
1 on 3 for the finish. That's interesting. I'm really torn here because I'm like you. I like a really nice finish. I like something that's flavorful, that doesn't linger for too long, but it leaves you with a little something. After you swallow the beer, I want to have a little something left that I can taste. I'm tempted to leave 1 for offensive aftertaste and offensive finishes, things that just are not balanced, things that linger in a very bad way. So I'm very tempted to give this a 2, but at the same time, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna have to give it I'm gonna have to give it 1 out of 3. Not because it's a bad finish, but because there's a complete lack of finish. So if I'm gonna be rating this on 3, if I'm gonna have to order this in terms of other beers that I like and rank them, I can't give it anything more than a 1 just because there's nothing there. There's nothing bad, but there's nothing there. Again, this is a reason why a lot of people love this beer, because there is nothing there in terms of the finish. It's crisp and clean and easy to drink.
And man, that's absolutely fine. And don't forget, like, we can also just not give points if we want to. So
we can not give points? That's an option?
That's an option.
I can't wait to give my first 0 points. That's going to be fantastic. I really hope we don't anger people who are big Heineken fans, because obviously this is one of the most popular beers in the world. But again, guys, this isn't that it's a bad beer. It's just, how does it stack up in all these different categories for us? And something might not stack up in mouthfeel, it might not stack up in terms of finish, but still be a really fantastic, great beer. And it's popular for a reason. I love it for a reason.
Don't forget, like, this is our opinion. We invite you to try our system, our rating system. Rate the beer the way you think it is, and tell us about it. Comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are. And we're trying to just share our opinion with you guys. And please do the same. There's going to be a link in the video description that tells you how exactly you can calculate your rating. And let's have a nice discussion about it.
So, what's your final overall rating?
Even though the finish is only got 1 point, I would say that overall this is a good beer. So 2 points for me, because it really it's checking most of the boxes that are things that I like. It has a good aroma, nice taste and mouthfeel. The finish is not too much there, but that's okay. But overall, this is a beer that I would absolutely drink again, and I consider it a solid beer. And as you've said many times in the past, I've had it at home for friends, family, or even just in the fridge to enjoy like a nice cold Heineken.
Same for me, it's gonna get a 2. It's nothing spectacular. It does basic beer, if not better than anybody else, extremely well. In terms of a nice, crisp, easy to drink lager that could be popular to the masses, that appeals to people who like a little bit of flavor, this is it. So it's amazing at what it does. Is it a perfect beer? Is it a 3 out of 3 for overall? Not in my books. It's a 2. It's a very, very, very good beer. It's solid across the board. All right, what does that bring us to? The final score. So what we do, each rating that we give is a score on 3. It's all tallied up together. Divided by 3, we average out Alessandro's score with my score. And this time we had the exact same ratings. Guys, it comes out to a solid 3 on 5 for Heineken. 3 out of 5 beer brackets. I thought it was going to get a little bit more. What's your final reaction to this? Did you expect a 3 on 5? Did you think it was going to be a little higher, a little lower?
I was thinking to a little bit higher, but to be honest, this is actually not. The more I think about it, the less surprising it is. The 3 is right. It's a solid beer. It's right there in the middle. It's something you go for. It's maybe not your necessarily your thirst spot, but it's there, and you know you love it. And that's actually what this is, for me at least. And so that, that 3, I was surprised at first, but I have to say that I agree with my score.
Yep. I was expecting more of like a 3.5, something just under 4, borderline in the great spectrum of 4 to 5. A 3 is where it lands, and it makes sense. I mean, we broke it down along the way. It is what it is. Heineken is fantastic at what it does. It's one of the best. It's maybe the king of easy drinking lagers. In terms of worldwide popularity, it is that way for a reason. 3 out of 5 beer brackets. Guys, if you don't agree with us, if you agree with us, comment down below. Let us know why. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, and stay tuned. Got plenty more videos coming. Cheers.
Cheers, and don't forget to close the beer brackets, guys.
Never forget to close the beer brackets.